everyone, hope you're doing well. Max here with a new strategy release. We're gonna do a Connors RSI strategy, the relative strength index. It's a strategy I often get asked, like, is trading with RSI still a viable strategy? Is it still profitable? Can we do something with it? We're gonna build it from scratch today in Profectus AI. I'm gonna no code it, and at the end of the video you'll know exactly how to build this in Profectus AI. I'm also gonna share some trade examples on TradingView, and let's dive into the video right now. Let's build this. All right, let's see what the Connors strategy is about. There you go. It's a short-term mean reversion strategy. Yeah, the core idea is the strategy exploits short-term overbought and oversold conditions, and we're gonna build this together. I just want to quickly show you the trading plan. We need an instrument in a long-term uptrend. We need to see the RSI of 2 below 10. We're gonna do below 5. This is not exactly true. It was mostly what he focused on was a period 5, and enter long at the close or the next open. That's gonna be one of our entries, or in simple terms, we have a moving average 200 or a 100-day moving average. If price is above it and we have an RSI dip below that 5 level, an RSI period 2, then we're gonna take a long trade. So let me show you in action how this works. We have a lot of examples here, but we don't need that. I just want to know, okay, what is the strategy? Because the faster I know the trading plan, the faster I can build it, the faster I can see if it is profitable and it has results. And that is what made me a profitable trader, was the ability to take any trading plan, whatever it is, automate it very quickly with no-code trading tools such as Profectus AI, and then test it and see if it works. That's how I passed my prop firms. That's how I got my private funding. That's how I scaled to millions in investor capital. That's just because I don't trust one strategy. I test everything, and that's the key. And that's where we are moving towards. So let's go to TradingView. I don't use the charts that often anymore because everything is automated in my trading. But it is nice to explain first the strategy on the charts. And maybe you're watching this and you are a manual trader and didn't evolve yet to the new approach of trading, which is automated. Let's dive into dollar yen. What do I have here? A few things. You first need to have the RSI. So go to indicators and then type in RSI. Relative strength index. You need that. I already have it here. Then open it up. The style, I just have the RSI and the lower band there, and then make this a 5, so the lower band is at the 5, and yeah, change the period of course to 2. That's all we need. Then we have the RSI. What else do we need? We need a moving average. And you can take the exponential or the simple. In my example here, I just used the simple moving average. Go take it and then change the period to 200. And later we're going to change it to 100 because I tested both. I'm going to show you exactly how I tested everything. What's next? Well, the rule was the RSI needs to be dipping below 5. And you can see here, it's very rare that happens. It happened here, it happened here, it happened here. But it is pretty rare that it happens. It doesn't happen that often. And we also need to be in a bullish trend. What that means is we need to be above this moving average. What's going on at this moment of time? Well, let's use replay mode for a quick second. Let's get our RSI back. We see we have an RSI below this line here. So below 5, that is checked off. And price is above the 200 moving average. That means we go long. We are long. In this example right here, let's see, there you go. A stop loss, we're gonna optimize the stop loss. I'm gonna show you exactly how I always find the best stop loss and the best target in this video, but that will be later on. We first need to understand some other things. We have here, let's say, a stop loss of 1%, and yeah, then the target, whatever you want, maybe a 1 to 5 risk to reward. I also like to use this higher time frame bias. So now we are long, right? What if you now go to the lower time frames and trade 1 hour break retests of the moving averages or the breakouts of sessions and all of that? That is taking a little bit of more advanced approach, but it is definitely something I will test with this strategy because this is super simple, right? We have a bullish trend and we have an RSI below 5 and then you buy. And then how you manage the trade and what stop loss and target you need, that's something we're gonna figure out during this time. There you go. This is the trading setup. That's something we're gonna test, and that is easy to do. You will be able, after you watch this full video and took your notes, you will be able to do it exactly how I did it. But also from there are a lot of intraday opportunities in this price action, right? You can maybe not take one trade, you can take many more. You have a good bias, you know where the market is likely to move towards. And why not capitalize that on the lower time frame price action? That's at least what I love to do. But that's not for now, that is for later. This is the strategy. And let's dive into Profectus AI and build it from scratch. This is the Profectus.ai website. You go to here and then the builder opens. This is a breakout strategy. You can see a lot of strategies are pre-created for you here. I'm just going to delete it because we're going to start from scratch and we're not focusing on a strategy like this. So we're going to focus on a strategy, the RSI period 2. That's how I'm going to name it, so we know that. And yeah, let's build this from scratch. So what did we do? What's the trading plan? Well, first of all, every candlestick close on the daily time frame, what do I want to see? Well, I want to see the close being above the 200 moving average or the 100 moving average, but for now, let's just build exactly the trading plan. So that's one rule. The second rule was the RSI closed below 5, or the value of the RSI is below 5. And those two rules is everything we need. Then we need to execute a buy trade. And then we're there. So let's build that. How do you do that? You go to blocks, when to trade? Well, once per candle, right? That was what we were doing. So run per candle. Every candle stick closed, the algorithm needs to run, and then it's done again. That's just like a manual trader. You just wait for the daily close, you check the RSI and you check where the close was above that moving average. That's all we want to do. So that's the when to trade. Super easy, run per candle. Then we need 2 trading rules. So you can find trading rules here, drag and drop it here, or you use the shortcut T, and there you have 2 trading rules. The first trading rule we need is not the moving average is above the other moving average. That's not what we want. Remember, we want to see if the close price is above the 200 moving average. So let's change this to the 200 moving average. So MA period 200. And let's not use an indicator here, but a candle. And then the candle close of the last candle. So 0 is current price, candle ID 1 would be the last closed candlestick, 2 is the candle before that, but we want to have yesterday's candle. So the candle close of yesterday, or the open of today, you can also do that, is above the 200 moving average. Okay, done, that's the first rule. Let's connect this to that. Now we have every candle, we check that rule. Then you have yes and no here. Of course, we want a yes. We want to have this being true. Then the second rule was the RSI rule, right? So what we need here is an indicator, the relative strength index, period 14, no, period 2. And yeah, it needs to be below. So you have here above, below, crosses above, crosses below. Is above or equal to, is below or equal to, is the same, is not the same. Those are like the what it means. We want to see the relative strength index, period 2 value be below, well, value, what was it? 5. If the RSI is below 5, great. What do we want to do then? Well, we want to buy the market. So the last thing you need to do is to click on buy now. How do we want to manage the trade? Well, risk percent of balance 1%. Let's say we take a trade. If our stop loss is hit, we lose 1%. If our target is hit, we of course make 1% or 2% or 5% depending on our target. But we risk 1% of our account here. You can also change that and use other things, but let's use default. Then percentage of the price. What I showed you in TradingView before, you now know that can use a 1% stop loss. If we go back here, that's what I used here, right? A 1.01% stop loss. But you can maybe also do 0.5 or 2. It doesn't really matter at the beginning. We're gonna find the best stop loss anyways. I'll show you that in this video, how I do that. So this is everything. We have the stop loss and the target is 100% of the stop loss, meaning a 1-to-1 risk to reward. So instead of having 1 to 5, we now have it programmed to do a 1-to-1. And well, congratulations, you now have your first algorithm. We built a strategy. Normally it takes me a minute or less. Now, because I'm explaining it, it's a little bit more. But do you see the power here? If you had to code this, it was also pretty fast, but definitely not faster than this. Let's now export the file. You can just click here on export and then import it in MetaTrader 5. If you don't have MetaTrader 5 or you don't know how to get that or you don't have it properly installed, go to the help center and then you can see a lot of search for helps. And you can find all the help you need here. You can just type in MetaTrader and then you will get the articles you need and just follow that. Super simple. If you have still questions, just use the chatbot, or I also want to help you. You comment below. And yeah, okay. Let's see how this looks in MetaTrader 5. All right, so I've exported the RSI period 2 version that we just built in Profectus AI, and I'm gonna run it on the dollar-yen daily time frame custom period. We're gonna focus on that quick trade in 2024 in March, because that's what I showed you also on TradingView, so that makes it easy to understand. We all know that setup now because we walked through it. We don't have settings on this expert advisor. We cannot change anything here yet, but later in this video I'm gonna show you how to do that and find the best stop loss and target. For now, we have the system, we have the symbol, the time frame, what time we want to trade, visual mode on, because then we can see the charts in action. Let's open this. Let's see where it goes. All right, there we go. Let's wait for that setup. All right, so what do we have here? We have the algorithm taking multiple trades when the RSI is below that value of 5. We are above the moving average, and this is what we showed you, right? This is that setup. Of course, we can make sure that the algorithm just takes one trade. We can scale into more trades. We can adjust all of that in Profectus AI, but this is what I want to show you. This is the overall setup in action. This is what the strategy is doing. Of course, we can speed it up and then hit the target, but we already did see that in a TradingView. So this is just how the strategy works in action. Now let's go back to Profectus AI, find the best stop loss placement, the best target, show you how to use inputs, which is a super powerful tool to master, and then you can apply that skill to all the other free strategies on the platform and build that profitable portfolio for you. Let's dive back into Profectus AI now. That was the strategy in MetaTrader 5. This is what we have built. This is already the strategy. Now the next step is to improve this strategy. There are two ways to do this. The slow way, that is just keep changing these settings, like maybe is 0.5 the best stop loss price. So how that looks on TradingView would be, let me zoom in, that would be this, right? That's 0.5 stop loss, or maybe you change it to 2%, so huge stop loss, maybe that's the best stop loss to use. So if I go back to Profectus there, you can just keep changing this. So now you have an algorithm with 0.5% stop loss size, you export it, upload it to MetaTrader and test it. Or maybe you change this to 2%, and like I showed you on TradingView, and test that, export this, and keep doing that. But there's a way faster approach to do this and not having to upload, export, and all of that. I'm gonna show you how that works. And the same is true with the target. A 1-to-1, no, maybe a 1-to-2, or maybe a 1-to-5, right? You want to be able to test that quickly and not having to keep exporting and having 1,000 versions of the same algorithm on your PC. That's not what you want. At least that's not efficient. I want that speed. I want to test something so fast that I know it within 30 minutes, maybe know this is something to pursue and spend time on or not, because there are a million strategies we can build. Like the IDs are endless. Like you see in the Profectus AI Discord channel, there are so many IDs. It's like, how can you test all of that if you're not fast? And that's also why we use this and not like code everything, because you don't need to. With that said, we have here inputs and variables. This is, by the way, a pro function. Inputs and variables are so powerful, and therefore I love them and I always use them. If you go to inputs, we're not gonna talk about variables today in this video. Subscribe below if you want videos like that, or comment if you have questions. And in the help center, you can also find things. We're gonna just focus on inputs because we just want to improve our algorithm and don't want to make it very complex. So here you have input. We need a few inputs. Then you have the name, type, and value. What we want to do is, first of all, the stop loss. We don't want this 2, we just want to be able to adjust it in MetaTrader. So not having this as a fixed one. So the first one I'm gonna do is stop loss. I'm gonna name it whatever I want, but it's nice to name it stop loss because we then know, okay, we're changing the stop loss. The value, we can keep it 2, but we can adjust it. So that makes it very easy. Now here, you see stop loss. You do that and it is done. Now, if you export this file and you look at the settings in your MetaTrader, when you run this algorithm, you can change the stop loss to whatever number you want, which makes it super efficient and super fast. But it will be better, wait for that. Then target, of course, we want to also change the target. Well, let's make it 100 on default, but we're gonna change it anyway. Now we have this. What else do we want to change? Maybe that moving average period, right? Period. Then what was it? Well, it was 200, but I also tested 100 and that's even better result. So if you have been noticing, we're gonna improve it during this video. So make sure you stick with me. Moving average 200. Okay, I have that input as well. I just need to find the block where to put it. Candle close above the moving average 200. Yes, but I want to make it adjustable. And there you go. You have the moving moving average period, or moving period is how I call it. And we can now adjust that setting. Then what do we have here? Well, this value of 5, we can also make an input for that and make it adjustable, but let's focus on just keeping the strategy a little bit similar, like how Larry Connors made it. He's a legend, we believe in him. So let's not change that. So now what we have is we can change the stop loss, we can change the target, we can change the moving average. And even if you want to change the risk per trade, how you do that is exactly the same. You just add, let's say, call it risk, and it is now 1%, and there you go. I will export this file right now, and I'm gonna show you again in MetaTrader how this looks, and then we're gonna optimize this strategy. So we're gonna let the computer find what is the best target and what is the best stop loss placement, and maybe even what is the best moving average, or all together, doesn't matter. Then our computer will do the work. I go on with my day, I go for a workout, I have some other meetings, I come back, and then we have the answer. That's how you want to do it. You can also, like, I backtest most of the times. Every evening I turn on an optimization, I have a strategy ID, and then I click go test. And then in a few hours it is done while I sleep, right? So the next morning I wake up and I run 200 backtests. That is powerful, that is efficient. Like, there's a quote, if you cannot make money in your sleep, you'll never be rich. It's sort of true. And this is the same with trading. If you cannot test so many strategies, you'll never make it, you'll never be profitable. I don't know anyone that is profitable and that didn't test so many things, right? So this is just an easy life hack to do it. Let's dive into it. All right, we are in a MetaTrader 5 terminal again. What do you have? I have uploaded the Expert Advisor RSI period 2, the one we created together. Again, I uploaded it into my overall file. So open data folder, go to MQL5, find the Expert Advisors, and then Advisor folder, then place it there. If you have questions, just feel free to ask me about it in the comments below. And yeah, we have it here. We have $yen again. We have the daily time frame. We have some custom period what we're gonna backtest. We can specifically look at that trade we did spot on TradingView, but I don't really want to do it. What we have and what is new is we have inputs. We can change here. You see risk, stop loss, target, moving period. Those are the things, the inputs we put in Profectus, right? And now they're here. So we can adjust things. We have risk per trade. We can make it 2%. We have stop loss. We can make it smaller. We can make it 1.1. We can make it 1.6, whatever we want. We have the target. Do you want a 1-to-5 risk to reward, or do you want to have a 1-to-1? We can adjust the settings. So that's super powerful, helps a lot. Now you know how that works. The second thing, which is even more powerful, is optimization. Here you have slow complete algorithm, fast something, and all symbols something. You just have slow complete algorithm for this tutorial. Then all symbols is sometimes what I use is if you want to backtest all these symbols at once, you can also do it. But for now, we're gonna optimize that target, stop loss, and so on. So slow complete algorithm, profit factor max is what I normally use. And then go back to inputs. Now you can have this like check mark. You can check what to optimize. And then you have here the value, the default value, the start, step, and stop. Start is the first backtest you do. Step is then your starting value plus something. And then stop is where it stops. So let's say you want to test 5 different risk to rewards, a 1-to-1, a 1-to-2, 1-to-3, 1-to-4, 1-to-5. All right, what are the steps? Well, the steps are 1 or 100 in this case. And what is the start? Well, 1-to-1, so 100. And what is the stop? Well, that's 500, so the 1-to-5. So that means if we optimize the target, we have start 100. Then the next test will be start plus 100, so that will be a 1-to-2. And it stops at 1-to-5. Then you have 5 steps. You have 5 different backtests. That is how this works. Stop loss, same story. If you start at maybe a 0.2 of really tight stop loss, you step 0.2, and then maybe you want to stop at 2, so 2%. Then you have 10 different stop loss settings, and you also have 5 different targets, and they will be shuffled, right? They will be combined, is maybe a better word. And we have 50 different backtests now. If I click on start, my PC will test all these things, and when it is done, and you can also add a moving average period, but you can do everything at once. That's not what I recommend. I always first do stop loss and target, and then maybe later on I do like extra filters like moving average period or maybe other filters you have in your algorithm. Then you go to optimization results, and there you have the answer. So I already did that, did this for us. I quickly want to explain what we have here. First of all, you have result. So you have a profit factor, that's what we optimized. We have profit, we have the amount of trades, so only 45 setups happened in this time period on the daily time frame. But maybe you can test it on the lower time frames, right? Then drawdown. Drawdown is of course relative. It depends on how much risk per trade you take. And then stop loss. Like, what is the best stop loss? You can see here, if we have a 1-to-5 risk to reward, so target, and a stop loss of 1.6, that's the optimal risk setting. Then if we have a slightly bigger stop loss, same target, this is still very profitable. Like a lot of this setup is just very profitable, or it is at least very good in predicting price action on dollar yen on the daily time frame. Even though Larry Connors, I believe, made this for stocks, so not even FX, but we like to test it on all markets, so why not? What is important here is if you filter on target, let's just focus on the 1-to-1s. Here you have 1-to-1s, so you filter on those. What is important for me is to see that everything is more or less good. So here you have a 0.8 was decent. We have everything above a 1.2 profit factor is good. 2 is very high. Everything else you see above that is probably some sort of martingale super risky system, a negative risk to reward, like the systems I don't like. I've been in this game for 10 years. I've seen so many systems also with a profit factor of 5 or something like that, but they will disappear. It just doesn't work long term. So I always focus between 1.2 and 2. I have some strategies around the 2 mark. They are good, but my best live results, to be honest, are from strategies with a 1.3 profit factor, 1.4, 1.5, but more tutorials on that later. We can see here a 1-to-1 best stop loss is this, 1.6. 1.8 is slightly worse, and a 1.4 is less worse, and then like a 1.4 is in between here. This is nice. A 1.7, 1.7, 1.9. So this 1.4 is, in my opinion, the best stop loss size, a nice robust stop loss size, and then with a 1-to-1. If I just right click, run single test, it will run that, but I already did it. And yeah, this is exactly what you need to know. Now you know how to find the best stop loss. You know how to find the best target. You know how to build all of this in Profectus, and you can do it in less than a minute. You can do the same thing here with all the strategies that are pre-built for you. The 5 strategies on our platform. And yeah, it's just amazing. You can test the stops, targets, and if you do that with all 5 of those, it will take you some time, maybe a few hours, but then you have good results. You have a very good understanding on doing this, and it's a skill you develop once, and then for the rest of your life you can automate anything you see. And that is just a Superman type of skill, in my opinion. So thank you for watching, and I see you in the next one.